In the time gap of 40 years, two blockbuster films were released. The first one was called Coolie, in which Amitabh Bachchan played the role of Iqbal. The second one is Jawan, in which Shah Rukh Khan plays Vikram Rathore. What does this tell us? We will tell you in this show. Welcome to The Matrix. Indian cinema audience is totally non-partisan about their choice of their heroes. It could be Shah Rukh Khan or Akshay Kumar. Irrespective of their religious identity, Indians love relatable and entertaining heroes. Indian audiences reward well-packaged heroic acts. That's why Shah Rukh Khan, with a little course correction, has lately become relatable again, these days as Vikram Rathore. Jawan was released in the backdrop of some movies which did good business but were perceived to be polarizing in nature, such as Kashmir Files and Kerala Story. This gave an impression that only such movies could trend, but there is always a space for innovation in Indian cinema. I have with me today Nasir Abdullah, who is a very famous actor, to talk on this subject. Welcome, Nasir Saab.
Thank you.
Let me begin by asking you that, would you agree that an actor, irrespective of what religion he or she belongs, must be playing a relatable character to make a movie click?
Certainly, it rests upon the shoulders of the actor somewhere, but he can never really be sure. Mm-hmm. It is really the director's work because they're able to get this out of. But an actor really is the person who will be actually be able to tug at the strings of the heart of the audience. Mm-hmm. They know, they can sense it, they can feel it, and then accordingly they'll go back with a huge smile on their face or with a lot of intensity about a film they have seen. Mm-hmm. So yes, it is the actor, he has it. I don't know what it is the charisma or what, but he has it and he does it.
Right. A senior journalist recently told me that we don't have characters like Rahim Chacha of Sholay anymore. You know, those were likable, lovable characters. Do you also miss such characters in Indian cinema?
Not madly, because the things have actually changed. But yes, since I come from that era, mm-hmm. I remember all the things that you are actually mentioning about Rahim Chacha and this Chacha and Usman Chacha. They were very nice, genial human beings who were very, very pious, and they would occasionally give a golden piece of advice to the other characters in the film, maybe the actor himself who's a youngster and he has yet to grow up, and he will see him again more infirm, etc., but full of that, you know, the piety inside him. So those days are sort of gone. There is a difference, and they fill a film with many other things and issues, and you've even got things like mobile phones always apparently playing a big role, but that's another story. So yes, those were the days that these scenes and the characters were used to imbibe in the people a sense of a tenderness, a sense of being good, a sense of being ethical and kind and pious. So that is what they actually happened to depict, like Hangal in Sholay.
Right.
He gave an incredible a performance, mm-hmm. probably not even knowing how greatly it would affect the people who were watching it, because he was a true nationalist.
Right.
He said, I wish I had more sons to go and offer their necks to be beheaded, right. In the name of God, in the name of the truth. So very endearing lines, and I mean, I can't forget that stuff, and neither can you or anybody else.
Yes, absolutely. So now you're also a Muslim, but you have played many non-Muslim characters in Bollywood. Would you like to share your experiences about those roles?
Yeah, I had no clue that I was doing this part or that part. I mean, whether it was a Christian or a Sikh or whatever. I was so much actually concerned about delivering the items, delivering my lines right, making sure the scene does not show that I am not in tandem with the scene, that I never thought about it. I did play Akram once, a Muslim guy in Hema Mali's film called Dil Asna Hai, which is Shah Rukh Khan's first film.
Okay.
Also, and he was going to be introduced in that film, but this film took so long to make that Shah Rukh Khan completed another film, I think Divana, and it got released before.
Oh.
So they couldn't introduce him.
Right.
And they introduced me. So,
Great. All right, that's great. Now, tell me, when film industry is criticized, it often defends itself by saying that they are only portraying the real world, the actual society. But we have often seen that while portraying actual society, they tend to exaggerate.
Yeah.
Now you're from the film industry. What would you say about this?
Okay, now here is the deal. When the film industry says that they're actually are projecting what is the truth, that's not entirely true, because they can really fudge the numbers, and that would be very unfair. So basically the film industry wants to entertain you. If they entertain you, then they make their money. Otherwise the film flops and they lose the money.
Right.
So often enough the directors take the liberty or the producers to make things look more intense and more sort of eye-opening and fascinating and bizarre, to create a reaction in the viewer that, oh my God, is this what is happening? And then it can also change his mind's view about certain people from a community here and there, or other issues. It could be about another country. It could be about, say, so yes and no. For example, you had a Page 3. It actually depicted the lowliness of all the so-called high society people. Every celebrity was somewhere shown indulging in rather ignominious things. They were being mean, or they were being very petty, or they were being very selfish, or they were being sometimes criminal, sometimes being blackmailers of all kinds. So everything was there. That was actually depicted, and it was all real life. Everybody happened to fit. So, but I don't agree that all films are like that. There have been the cases of films where the numbers have been exaggerated by 29,975, about some, like a situation of some group of the people trying to recruit, whatever. So there is some falsehood, or let us say at least a great amount of exaggeration, which is half truth, and that is not fair. If you are saying that you want to depict reality.
Right. So now, film industry itself is a very pluralistic and inclusive industry. Would you agree? Because you worked there for so long.
Absolutely. I mean, I have seen the industry. I have, when I have arrived on a set early morning, I see this huge multitude of the people all there to work. I see them as laborers, all of them, from the director to the assistants to the makeup and the light crew. They have all come to build a building. So here the building is the film. So they're all there in their numbers to work together without any other thought of where is he from, who is he, etc., etc. There is no time, in my opinion, for a person to think like that. So they are totally with it. I mean, the people at work, I mean, the actors and everybody, they have, they're just there to get the job. They are there to fulfill the dream of the director. And I sometimes say it to a director. I said, hey, I'm just here to help you fulfill your dream. So you tell me what to do. And then if I have a thought, I will tell you, but you're the boss.
Right.
You have it in your mind. I don't even know because I just know my role and a bit here and there.
Yes.
So it's very inclusive and it's a great industry. It's got its whatever problems. Every industry has,
Sure.
their little shady side or a bad side or the over use of maybe, the substances here and there. Maybe they drink a lot more. It is a high velocity line of work.
Right.
I worked on Gandhi, for example,
Yes.
as a location manager.
Right.
1981.
Very interesting.
You weren't born then, maybe.
Yes.
I think you were. You're not that young, and I'm not that old. And it was amazing the amount of people who were involved in the making of this film. Sometimes they would do nothing on a film set. And I was in charge of the buses for the artists, the hairdressers. We had to fill up the tanks through a motor and everything. There was the security, there was the catering camp. Such a huge, colossal experience. I was amazed. I was like, and I worked very hard. And my mother nearly had a heart attack because I was this very lazy guy. And suddenly, when I began to work so hard, she couldn't believe it. She nearly had a heart attack. Like, my son working so hard. Anyway.
Okay. So, some intellectuals and most film critics, they believe that ever since 9/11,
Yeah.
Bollywood only it portrays Muslims in a time wrap, as if, and portray Muslims as terrorists. Is this a fair assessment?
Absolutely not. Though once upon a time I heard something, I hope I remember it right, because there was a politicization of all this. They said something like, all Muslims are not terrorists, but all the terrorists are Muslims. Meaning whoever has been found was a Muslim, which is not true. In India itself, you have half a dozen Naxal movements and the Maoists and this is and that is,
Right.
and they're all over the place, right up to the south of India, right deep into Andhra Pradesh.
Right.
I know it because I have met people who were affected by all this, the Naxalite whatever movement, and then you had the LTT up there in Sri Lanka, and they're all over the place. So, I mean, I can't for the life of me imagine who was the genius who thought to say this, which made it seem that only Muslims indulge in acts of senseless violence against humanity. Not true at all.
Right.
They are great Muslims who are very poor also. They follow the path. I'm amazed. I mean, I don't have 20% of the faith they have.
Right.
And I seem to be better off. And yet, their outlook is, I trust in Allah. I trust in God. Full stop. What is wrong with that? And yet they get what they have to get. So there is a tendency, yes, to give that sort of an indication. And often enough in the films now they show one guy or the other who sort of has a Muslim name, has a regular beard or something, or has some slightly hard looking eyes, which could be interpreted as evil intention and all that.
Also, if you add to it, in 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
There was this trend of underworld movies in which which were inspired by true stories from Mumbai.
Yes.
Underworld gangs and their gang leaders. That also had very long lasting memory in the mind, glamorizing the underworld and all those things.
Yeah, that expanded a lot. I was there at that time in Mumbai, and it seems a lot of actors had to grace some occasions of some events or somebody's marriage of some underworld guy. So all these big names had to go to attend.
Yes.
They had to, otherwise if they didn't, then they would have some problem. I mean, the worst would be that they could be killed, but they could be harassed and there could be a lot of problem. But they were also paid money, so it was not like it was just like a blackmail thing. I mean, I guess, but so that was it. And a long time ago, it seems that most of the mafia folks, I would imagine maybe 60% or more were actually Muslims. I mean, I remember their names, Haji Mastan and this Mastan.
That's
and
a fact.
Dawood Ibrahim. That's a fact, and that's the way it is. There were others. There was a Chota Rajan and some other guys. There are all kinds of names. But that has pretty much been laid to rest a lot.
Yes.
That threat does not exist.
Yes.
Once upon a time, the underworld was known to be involved with the film industry.
Yeah.
It was all about the D gang.
Very nasty.
Yeah, and it was like, it was all done, and they were happily investing money, and they dictated the terms, and there was a lot of underhand money, black money. Now you see a film and you see 25 other people involved with the film, including FM radio and the Times of India group and
collaborative effort.
Everybody
so there's
is
freedom from that fear, which used to be.
Banks are involved. Banks have invested in the film industry.
Amazing.
That is amazing. That's a great
You're on my
experience.
money, right? So now I want to understand from you, in literary and art theories, there's a corrective role which is attributed to art forms. Do you think that also applies to cinema, Indian cinema?
I think it didn't earlier so much, but now with the way things are seemingly happening as a result of what is actually portrayed, there has been a lot of exaggeration in the films, which has only cemented more the divide. When you have a divide, it has to be cemented to be eradicated, but here the divide is being cemented, and that is unfair. So I think the movie industry guys, the producers and the directors, should make sure that if they are actually showing a scene or a situation where a particular community may be involved, then it should not be overdone. If it is the truth, please speak it, no problem.
Sure.
But do not exaggerate the truth to get your, the cash register clinging and saying, ding dong, we are having a great time.
Yeah.
So it is important. It is important. And let me give you an example of, there was a film called Enter the Dragon.
Yeah, Bruce Lee.
Yeah. So it was very exciting and very bizarre and very action-packed film, and was really, adrenaline went up in everybody.
Yes.
So I'd already seen the film, and I was going past the movie theater in the parking area. And all these guys, they had started their cars and they were zooming, and the motorcyclists, they were going, wow. And it was, I could see
the effect,
the impact. So that is what the industry can do. They can impact your mind.
Industry.
If they can impact your mind to accelerate and really throttle heavily and speed and maybe have an accident in the process, which is wrong. Right. If they can get a person to get so animated and aggressive, they can do the same thing to a person towards another cause.
Absolutely.
So they can do a huge amount of good things through a movie, and there are some great films. There are some, including the Titanic, for example.
And in Bollywood too, if you see the OTT, they are bringing out some very good, meaningful cinema.
Amazing. It's amazing. Yes, it's happening, and that's a wondrous thing, and it's very, very good for the industry to have this other platform where you can make films with another genre, and you can almost do a series and make it an extreme. I mean, they make it very interesting. Yeah. They make it so interesting. Some of the series you can't stop.
Yes, you cannot.
And fortunately, I'm not addicted to any. I don't have the Netflix, but I watch it at a friend's house.
But some films are based on social issues which are important for the society.
Absolutely. My God, there are films about the sati and about drinking and drugs, which were very, for illuminating humankind.
Yes.
It is a great channel to be able to do that. But then it can be played around with as occasionally happens, as you know.
Yes. And so film industry, we know, is a very powerful medium. It's a very powerful industry. Now, what would be your advice to new filmmakers who have just started or they're about to start, on striking a balance between cinema, ethics and sensationalism?
I was about to, as you were asking the question, I was about to say the first thing: avoid the temptation to sensationalize. Okay, if the situation is sensational anyway, it will work. Then you can do whatever you want to make it
on its own.
Yeah, authentic also.
Right.
So my little thing is that they should not go overboard in getting their cash registers ringing. It's extremely important. Be as honest as you can and deal with whatever is there, whatever emotions are there which you want. Do it in a gentlemanly way. Of course, if you are making a film like The Bandit Queen,
right.
That was made by Shekhar Kapoor,
Sure.
which won him all these awards.
On Pulan Devi.
And there were these rape scenes and these horrible things that happened to this girl. You have to show them. I mean, this is the impact it had on me, I swear to God. In 1994 or something or earlier, I saw this film at a trial in London, and it was not out yet. When I was so disturbed when I walked out. So here's the deal: I was so disturbed, I couldn't raise my face from the ground. I was so ashamed of myself. I was ashamed of being a man. Though I was not like those guys. I'm not the rapist type.
It had an impact on your psyche, you know.
Goodness, impact. I was like shaken to the bone.
Right.
And for example, there was a film called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was about mentally deranged guys in an asylum.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I can imagine you freaking out. I mean, and it was just, my father went with me and he was very disturbed when he came out because he had some insane sort of relatives and he had been through those things actually in life. So he got really shaken up.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my God, what a film. And even I said, oh my God, because very disturbing and very well portrayed.
Absolutely.
Jack Nicholson did a great job. Everybody else seemed to be great. So if whatever is the truth, say it as it is and make it a little more exciting if you want. But do not sensationalize, do not add numbers, and do not exaggerate like it's that the exaggeration is a lie.
Yes.
Exaggeration is a lie.
Yes.
So do not lie.
Yes.
Do not lie. And, and the rest, of course, is...
And this is also happening in the Western cinema, the Hollywood and the European cinema, that they're also getting into that adrenaline, sort of movies. Rather than making nice movies like One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest or Dead Poets Society, those were beautiful movies.
Yeah, they've made some great films. They've made some wonderful life stories. They've made some great, comedies and war films and all. And of course, in a war film, they had to
show violence.
And they had to exaggerate a bit to make it look more exciting.
But that had a corrective effect, impact. That's what we called corrective impact. Like people say, comedy has corrective effect or impacts.
Yeah.
Similarly, these war movies create awareness about the horrors of these sort of madness, violence.
Sure, but besides the war movies, which are, very, very, very satisfactory, because when a person goes to see a war movie, it's in his country and it's about his country. So the ending is happy for him and he likes it, and he's very, very proud of being an American or an Englishman or a Frenchman or an Indian or a Pakistani. I mean, God help them. So but you've got so many other ways to get things across. It's very important not to take yourself seriously, for example, not to get too worked up and to laugh at yourself.
Yes,
so
very important.
The comedy films, they do that, and it's amazing. I mean, I have learned from them a bit, and I think we all do.
Yeah.
India has got so much from the... And we've got some great comedies.
Yeah, from Johnny Walker to
Padosan and
Utpal Dutt and Paresh Rawal.
Golmaal, and with this guy Amol Palekar and Mahmood, the greatest comedian for decades.
Right.
They all made such great films. They are, to this day, they are vast and and like people laugh
Right.
because, and that's important.
Right.
It's very important to make. I mean, when they even exaggerate on the comedy, it flops.
Right.
It has to flop.
It has to flop.
The comedy has to be, the timing has to be extremely right, and even the words and the dialogues have to be within the limits somehow. They may be outrageous, but somehow they have to fit in. Otherwise, the comedy doesn't work.
Right, like people still remember Jaane Bhi Do Yaro.
I mean, amazing, amazing.
That was one film which was
That was
very, very
amazing. That was a cult film, almost,
Right.
they say. But there were so many films like that which are amazing. Nasiruddin Shah was in a lot of them. Om Puri was there. Pankaj Kapoor was a
Yes.
part of all the. Ek Roka Hua Faisla.
Yes,
Amazing film. I mean,
Yes,
it's just,
yes.
so that is it. There have been so many great movies, and unfortunately, so many not so great movies, and so many unnecessary, boring films. And some people were yawning.
Right.
So even if it be about, say, the holy text, say the Ramayana or the Bhagavad Gita, or anything to do with an Islamic historical background,
Right.
about what happened in those days, Solomon and
Yes.
Shiva and these, all. They have to be made in a way that people actually feel elevated.
Yes.
Elevated. Not elevated to feel anger, hostility, or hatred.
But the true spirit of religion, which it should be reflected.
Yeah, be it anything. I mean, an action film or a historical film about Alexander the Great or Jesus. They have made half a dozen films on that. Amazing. Ben-Hur.
Yes.
It's about Moses, and they're beautifully made films.
Yes.
They are classics.
Right.
So that's what I have always enjoyed it. And we seem to have occasionally lost the plot at times,
Right.
and we go overboard. But normally when it is a question of an avatar, a prophet, or a holy man or a saint, be it a Shirdi Sai Baba or any of the great whatever gurus we've had, they do the right thing very much. But here is the interesting part. Gandhi, the film on Gandhi, was made by a British man, Sir Richard Attenborough. Somehow our government folks somehow knew that our Indian directors will not be capable of making a proper, authentic film on Gandhi. They wanted to be very careful, so they gave it to a British man, which was very wrong, in my opinion, somewhere. But then again, they must have had a huge discussion about it. I mean, someone like a Shyam Benegal could have made a good film.
Yeah, absolutely.
He
Why
made a
not?
film on Bose much later,
Amazing.
which didn't do awfully well because somewhere something was lacking. So somewhere they knew, and of course Richard Attenborough is a name already.
Yes.
He can be fully trusted,
Yes.
and Gandhi was his idol. He got the permission to shoot the film in 1964 from Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru at that time. But
okay.
what happened? He had not signed on the document yet, and then he passed away.
Oh, I see.
So then he got the permission 20 years later, 16. So in 90, because I worked in the film, so I know all these stories. So Indira Gandhi came on one of the days at Hyderabad House to witness a bit of the shooting. And I was like really working hard. But here is the deal. Actually, Pandit Nehru had said yes to the film. He liked the script. He knew it all. And Richard Attenborough was a great admirer, and he was overjoyed. Unfortunately, everything was done, just the signing didn't happen, and Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru passed over. And he was again, because the government said, okay, we don't have you can't shoot, we don't have it on paper.
So then what happened?
He had to wait another 16 years
Okay.
to make it in 81.
Okay. So was it Indira Gandhi who made it happen, or did she sign
Well,
it?
I'm sure she did her bit in facilitating the process, because finally they did realize that Nehru had said yes, and now his daughter's there, and she may have helped the matter, because it is a very, very sensitive a topic or a subject,
Yes.
or film, to make a movie on. It is like making a film on an Avatar or on So he's like he's the father of the nation.
Yeah.
You cannot have any omission and whatever, but he couldn't make the film fully with all the facts. You cannot, in a 3-hour film, you cannot put everybody, give everybody the credit. But he did his bit, and he got, I think, 8 or 10 Oscars, Academy Awards for this film in those days,
Amazing.
in 82.
Yes. So that is one of the reasons that you have to condense your movie from a vast, a book or a novel or whatever script, and then you tend to eliminate several things, and then people point fingers at you. You're not shown this, you're not shown that.
Yeah.
Well, this is one topic we can go on.
Yeah. But one thing I wanted to add is there is something wrong with our industry, our films often enough. They are too long. One of the reasons is there are songs. So 8 songs means about 3 अट्ठे 24 तो आधा घंटा वहाँ हो गया, कोई बात नहीं. But what I want to say is, this is my warning, and I still don't understand why our superstars are making films and are in films that go on for too long. It is not fair. Do not do that to the audience unless you don't bore them.
Perhaps that's what they want to see: song and drama,
that's
song
fine.
and dance, and
song and dance is fine. That is, and that's only. Like I said, but to extend a film unnecessarily,
to drag it,
And here is the deal. This is my advice to all the directors, all the producers. Please do not come to a point in a film where a person yawns. If a person has yawned, he is bored, and the boredom is the cancer that will bring down your film. Sorry to say that, but it's true. If it's a Lagan, it is still okay. I sat for 4 hours. I had a number, a backside, and at the end of it, but the whole film was so well done.
Yes.
But you do another 4-hour film, people will hate you for it, because you can, unless you make it interesting for those 3 hours, make it 2 hours or 2 hours and 10 minutes. If you don't add the masala to make it longer, because it will actually be detrimental to the future of the film and to the feelings in the minds of the people. They will not really be so much interested, because they must not be bored. They must not yawn. If you yawn, as I said, your chances of having a hit are gone.
Absolutely. So before people start yawning, let's bring this show to an end. And I would like to thank you very much for being with us on this very interesting topic. I too, in my assessment, believe that filmmakers should not allow sensationalism to overtake ethics. The world has changed, and the filmmakers should also reimagine their characters, which are in sync with time, relatable and entertaining. That's all we have this week. We'll be back again with another interesting topic. Till then, goodbye from the Matrix team.